Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried, and this is Gilbert and Frank's Amazing Colossal Obsessions with my co-host, Frank Santopadre.
Indeed, indeed. I'm not your girlfriend this week?
No, you're my life partner.
That's sweet.
Yeah. I want to make it more politically correct.
Like Dog Day Afternoon. Do I have to get the surgery? Do I have to go Oh, my God. Oh, let me start this week and throw people for a loop by recommending a movie from 2015. Yes, you heard it. A new movie that I saw this summer. You know, sometimes when you see a movie... do you even go to the movies anymore? You don't. You see things in hotel rooms, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Spectravision.
Yeah.
A lot of porn.
Yeah. Although the porn in hotels is that kind of weird, soft core. You don't know what you're watching it for.
I know, yeah. It's like bad Emmanuel movies from the 70s.
My God.
Sylvia Kristel.
And those were the worst because the Emmanuel movies and ones like that were trying to be arty.
Right,
and those were
nothing worse than that.
What I meant is Artie Lang.
Artie Lang. Artie Shaw.
Yeah, okay. Artie Johnson.
I just want to say that this is a case where sometimes you see a movie in a theater and you see it in a special theater. It's part of the experience.
Oh, yes.
I saw this movie this summer. I was away with my wife in Sag Harbor, and there's a wonderful little old movie theater, the Sag Harbor Theater. Do you know it, Paul? That out on the east end of Long Island. It's still there, and it's got to be one of the few original. It's lost in time. It's a little old single theater that they've managed to preserve as is, or as was, I think from the 30s. And I did a little homework, and I found out that Roy Scheider, when Roy Scheider was living in Sag Harbor, that he was one of the people that helped preserve it, that helped save it from the wrecking ball.
Sheriff
Brody.
Sheriff Brody from Jaws.
As 7-Ups and the French Connection.
And Marathon Man.
That's right. Yeah. So we were staying with friends, and our friend Jenny said, if you're a movie buff, you've got to go to the Sag Harbor Theater and have that experience. And I said, well, it depends on what's playing. And there was a movie playing about the Beach Boys called Love and Mercy. And the timing of this is also interesting because Paul Dano, who plays Brian, one of the two actors to play Brian Wilson in the movie, won an award today. I think it was the Gotham Award. Do I have that right, Paul? Our expert researcher, Paul Rayburn, is here. It's a terrific movie, and I know you're going to like it. You worked with the Beach Boys.
Oh, yes.
On Problem Child.
Okay. Who wants to grow up? Who wants responsibility? Oh, no, not me. Who wants to show up and work until you're 93? Oh, no, not me. Now everybody says you're running wild. The teacher's calling you a problem. Ooh, na 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 na. Oh yeah.
Was that the? We got to do that vinyl album. We got to do Gilbert Sings. Was that the Stamos version of the Beach Boys?
John Stamos is on drums.
Right.
I did a music video with the Beach Boys for Problem Child.
This is older Beach Boys. This is pre-Stamos.
Well, what they're best remembered for is the Problem Child thing.
That's right. That's right. It's a terrific. It's a strange little biopic of the great Brian Wilson, and played by two actors, played by Paul Dano from There Will Be Blood.
Now. Yeah. There was another movie, I think, with Ileana Douglas playing like a Carole King.
Ooh, I know what you're talking about. Grace of My Heart.
And what's his name, that weird guy? He was in...
I think Turturro's in it.
Yeah. But no, that other guy... geez, he was in something about Mary.
Oh, yes, Matt Dillon.
Yeah. He played like a Brian Wilson.
That's a movie about the Brill Building, about the old song, the old Brill sound, and the old songwriter Carole King and Neil Diamond and her partner Jerry Goffin and a lot of those guys that were working in there at that time. And yeah, she's loosely based, I think, the character on Carole King. Biopics, we've talked about them on the show. They're real hit and miss. I mean, we've talked about Bud and Lou. We've talked about the Babe Ruth stories, both of them. We've talked about W.C. Fields and Me. We've run the gamut on this show. This, dare I say it, is an excellent biopic. Paul Dano, who our audience would know, I guess, from Little Miss Sunshine or There Will Be Blood, plays the younger Brian Wilson. And John Cusack has the unenviable task of playing the older Brian
Now,
Wilson.
did they put him in a fat suit?
They did not.
No.
They did not. And it's interesting that, it's I think it's hard for an actor to play another celebrity, to play another
yes.
famous person that everybody identifies with. And that's not what Brian Wilson looks like. And they didn't put him in prosthetics. They didn't, but he really, really captured it. It's a sweet film. It's also it tells the story of Brian Wilson's genius in the studio, which is really fascinating. You get to kind of see how he put things like Good Vibrations together. It's also the story of how they managed to wrest the older Brian Wilson out of the clutches of Dr. Landy.
Oh, yeah, this John Landy. Who
Eugene Landy.
Oh, Eugene Landy.
Yeah.
He started to take ownership of the Beach Boys songs, like as a co-writer.
Well, yeah. Well, because he had Brian under his spell. Basically, he had him heavily medicated and convinced that Brian couldn't go on without him. He became dependent on him.
Yeah.
And Brian wandered into a Cadillac dealership one day, asks out the girl who's selling the cars, who's played in the movie by Elizabeth Banks quite well, and he starts dating her against Dr. Landy's wishes, and she manages to get close enough to see the abuse and to see this terrible relationship, this situation that he's trapped in, and with the help of the housekeeper, she managed this fascinating story. If you read about Brian Wilson and how they finally, how Carl and the other brothers finally got Dr. Landy the hell out of there. Dr. Landy, who, by the way, is played brilliantly by the great Paul Giamatti in this movie, an actor who incapable of a bad performance. But it's two movies in one, because you get the old Brian Wilson, and Mike Love is not portrayed in a flattering light, which is fine with me. For another podcast. But you see you get a little insight into their process, and particularly into Brian Wilson's process, and then the other part of the movie, and it goes back and forth. And the other part of the movie is this story of him finding himself, of him getting his independence again, and falling in love with this woman and being rescued by
and this
woman who would become his wife.
I heard they just took away his license to practice medicine in L.A., so he might have moved someplace else and is following on this.
He's dead now.
Oh, he's
dead, yeah. He was discredited. I think they took his license away in the state of California.
Oh, he was a total scumbag.
Yeah, and they pull no punches in their portrayal of him. And he was abusive to Brian, maybe even physically abusive. I don't know that they don't show that in the film, but it's a great story of a genius. And like I said, with biopics, viewer beware, because you never know what you're going to get. This one, and shame on me for not knowing the name of the writer-director, but maybe Dara will be kind enough to look it up while we're sitting here talking. Love and Mercy.
While she's looking, I remember there was a TV movie about Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall.
Oh, gosh. I don't even know this one.
I forget the name of the actor who played Bogart.
Yeah.
But, there, too, is a case, when you're trying to play somebody like Humphrey Bogart, it could be really intimidating.
Wait, this is not. There was a movie called The Man with Bogart's Face.
No. That had this Robert Sacchi. Who looks exactly
right. This
like
guy didn't
Bogart.
Look like him at all.
Didn't look like him at all. And it can get scary for an actor, because you don't want to be out there doing a nightclub Bogart imitation.
Sure.
So he went the opposite route.
Played him as Arnold Stang?
Yeah, pretty much. He didn't try to imitate Bogart at all.
Wow.
So he was over there like going, play it again, Sam.
Wow.
And
odd choice.
Yes, we got to find the gold in this Sahara Madre.
Wow.
And it's like jaw-dropping.
Were they unknowns, both actors who played Bacall too?
One of them was one of these actors that, you go, oh, yeah, him.
Yeah. It sounds like Lindsay Lohan trying to pull off Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just awful when those things happen. You have to turn away.
That was a shame, because you wanted Lindsay Lohan to kind of come back with something.
Yeah, she's a decent actress.
Yeah, but that was the wrong choice.
The director I'm handed, Bill Pohlad, Pohlad, who made Love and Mercy, and it is absolutely wonderful. So I think it's out now. Find it.
Okay.
Mr. G?
Here's a movie that, it's funny that you mentioned, like, the theater experience.
Yeah.
This is a theater experience of another kind. And, sometimes I give movies with reservations, and this is with all reservations.
Okay. You did with Life Force.
It's one of those. I mean, Life Force, you still have a shadow of doubt that there's something good about it other than masturbating to a naked girl vampire.
Uh-huh.
This one was back in those schlock days when Times Square would have either porn or kung fu movies.
Sure. Remember it well.
And like, not far from where I lived on Avenue A, there was the Essex Theater. And that was a rundown theater
You've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Essex Theater, yeah.
It was hard to find a seat that wasn't wobbling and that you didn't fall over. And if you had to go pee, you just didn't. you brought a jar
right,
with
like
you.
Pee Wee Herman at Caroline.
Yes. And they showed one movie that I always assumed was an Italian movie. But I don't know. I think the names were not Italian. I assumed it was Italian because it had a lack of intelligence.
Was that a slur? I'm going to get Dominic Chianese on your ass. You'll be sorry.
But this one was called Dr. Butcher, M.D. Medical Deviant.
You really have run out of movies. Dara wasn't kidding.
But this was
Dr. Butcher, M.D.
Dr. Butcher, M.D. Medical Deviant.
Okay.
And
okay.
it's like
with Sir Ralph Richardson.
Yeah.
Who was in this gem?
I cannot name one actor.
We'll get,
Paul's
on it. Paul's on it.
I saw it years ago. Find out if it's an Italian production.
Dr. Butcher.
And, it's very similar to another movie called Zombie, and where both of them start off in New York, oddly enough.
Okay.
And they'll film a quick scene in New York, and then they'll go away to the jungles. And I think they would use actual, people and tribes, because they couldn't ask for money or sue.
Right.
And so these look like actual tribes.
Really?
And so it's
like Werner Herzog using the locals in the jungle.
So Dr. Butcher, a really crooked. Why do you find that, Paul?
Also known as Zombie Holocaust.
Also known as Zombie Holocaust.
The director was credited was Frank Martin, but his real name was Marino Girolami.
There you go.
Wait. I'm gonna repeat it, Frank. Paul, say it again.
Okay, so the credit was Frank Martin.
Frank Martin, director.
Real name Marino Girolami.
Gilbert has it pegged. How did he know? Real name Marino what? Girolami. It doesn't really matter. Mike McPatton is the only one who cares.
It's so scuzzy and so stupid. It's got to be Italian.
My people made some great films. We just talked about Vittorio De Sica. I beg your pardon.
And I mean, it starts off in New York where there's some gore going on with a doctor in the hospital, and for God knows what reason, they wind up in this primitive jungle. And it's one of those old total schlock movies that they used to... There was a movie, Catch Them and Kill Them, and make them die slowly.
I don't know these.
These were done before films like Saw and Hostel.
Right. So they were... What do they call that genre? Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
think of it. But I'll think of it in a minute. But gore films.
Like gore
Well, like
porn.
The Wizard of Gore, like Herschel Gordon
Oh,
Lewis
yes,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
And this one was closer to Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Who's still around. We should get
We
him.
got to get
Yeah.
him on
Yeah,
the
we gotta
show.
get him.
Yeah, he directed the Gore Girls.
Right. So this again is called Dr. Butcher.
MD.
MD.
Medical deviant.
And what happened to the Essex Theater? Pray tell.
It turned into a like a small like health facility, like a
what a shame.
hospital or something.
What a shame.
But yeah, I remember I used to go there, and any schlock horror film that would come out, any of the slash or anything, I would always go, that'll be at the Essex.
Wow.
And I would go there.
He stumped me. You came up with one I never heard of. Dara's been telling me for weeks. Gilbert's running out of movies.
Yeah.
She wasn't kidding.
Yes. But it's a fun, if you're one of those people who enjoy schlock
Okay.
and movies made by guineas.
Paul, get the Defamation League on the phone, please, from me. I'll give his address.
The Jews may have helped distribute it, but it was made by.
I'm pretty sure the guy that started Troma is a Jewish guy.
Oh yeah, oh yes.
Lloyd Kaufman.
Oh
So
my God!
You better.
yes.
You're going to lose this argument.
Oh,
I got
geez.
Coppola and Scorsese and Fellini on my side. So give us the title one more time so that I can avoid this.
Dr. Butcher, MD, medical deviant, and it's got gore and phony looking gore, bad gore and nudity, and if you enjoy old schlock, and more importantly, Guinea
Cinema?
Productions. I think it's an FG. It's labeled called fucking Guinea Production.
Rated FG. Wow. Oh, God. It's a good thing I identify as American.
So
Yes?
I think Robert Osborne told me to see that.
Did he?
I think it's his favorite
One of
film.
the essentials?
Yeah.
One of the inessentials.
Yeah, him and Alec Baldwin.
That's it.
Discussed it.
And my movie was Love and Mercy. And I also want to recommend the wonderful Sag Harbor Theater if any of you guys live in New York or the tri-state area. And this is a good opportunity for our listeners. Send on Facebook or Twitter great movie experiences you had in great theaters and classic theaters that are still around the country. I'd love to know about them. A lot of the ones in New York are closed
Yes.
up, the single theaters. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's me too.
No song to take us out on? See you next week.
Well,
Wait, what do you got? The theme from Dr. Butcher? Did not stay with you?
Another great Paul Williams score. Dr. Butcher, he's chopping people up on a primitive island. You could see a girl's tits, and then Dr. Butcher decapitates her. It's Dr. Butcher.
Beautiful. Why the Carpenters didn't record that. See you next time.